Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Every Calorie Counts podcast. It has been well, I should have checked how long it's been since we uploaded, but it's been very, very long. A lot has changed. We've kind of taken a very large hiatus. Tim, are you checking how long it's been?
Yeah.
Cool. But we're back. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
February 20th. So it's been almost, oh no, wait, my bad. I was scrolled all the way down. October 16th. So no, that was the coach's corner though. So my bad again. June 14th
June 14th. Okay, so what is that like?
was our podcast with Liana.
That was the last one.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, so it's been what, 5 months?
Something like that. I would say par for the course. I needed a little bit of a break. I think we got a little bit of a break. I needed a break at that time because of the contest prep season. All that stuff was coming around. There was a lot of travel. And then it's just been one of those things where it's been, you know, we're practicing self-control, getting back into our
Wow, that's
podcasting, which
crazy,
will be the
Tim, because
topic
that ties us
of the
right
day.
into our topic.
What a fucking transition. See, I haven't lost my step. I haven't lost a goddamn step. But yeah, I think if there's one thing that might be different this time around, as far as the podcast, kind of staying on the topic of that we're back. Like today is hopefully going to be a relatively quick episode where we can kind of get some information off our chest, and really, honestly, I know that we've had some people even recently message us, which is pretty cool. I don't know if you saw that message on the Instagram. If you look at the only pin that we have post on that main on our Every Calorie Counts page, the only post that we have pinned, somebody messaged us there just a couple of weeks ago. It was like, hey, just wanted to let you guys know I'm a huge fan of the Every Calorie Counts podcast. I
Oh,
think I think she's from Canada. And she just wanted to drop in and tell us that she misses the podcast and hopes it comes back and all this
that's
different stuff.
cool.
I forget my point was with bringing that up. Oh, my point is that even though I know there's people like her that we enjoy, we appreciate everything that are listening to the podcast. It's obviously on an open forum. Anybody can listen, and we appreciate everybody to come in and have a listen. And maybe if things resonate with you guys, then take a look at us on our Instagram. We have information up there for Marina, for Riley, and the ability to be able to drop your information in there if you want to work with us from a coaching perspective. But the point that I'm trying to get to here is the reality that I really want to make sure that we're emphasizing our clients within this podcast, right? And this is something that we can then send out to our clients and have those clients hopefully listen to this, right? And I know I already send you horribly long check-in information. I'm sure Marina sends pretty long check-in information. I'm sure Riley doesn't because he's a piece of shit. But like at the end of the day, you already get inundated with a lot of us, so we'll try to keep some of these short, especially the ones that I
Mhm.
really want you guys to see. Obviously, we have guests. I would like to give that guest enough time to be able to, get to know that guest, maybe even create a point behind that guest as opposed to just getting to know them. And there'll still be more of that. I want there to be more of that. I enjoy that personally. So I genuinely want there to be more of that. But at the same time, again, I think what I'm really trying to get to here is the reality that I want this to be an opportunity for us to influence both our lifestyle clients and our competitive clients, but again, airing a lot more on that lifestyle client at
Yeah.
this point, right? We have things that we were doing there for a long time as far as our Instagram lives that were very almost 100% competitive, right? And I still do that with Steve, so there's still opportunity for that. But
Mhm.
again, with the percentage of clients that we have that are competitive rather than the lifestyle, I think this is a good opportunity for us to sit back for a little while, really talk that lifestyle component, where in the past we've been pretty much competitive oriented on all platforms and outlets, and we're putting out information. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
been heavily weighted to the competition, and I think at this point we want to make sure that we give an outlet for the lifestyle clients. Is that all good? Did I say that all right?
That all
Everything
makes
good? That
sense.
sound good?
Basically, we want each episode to pack a punch because we do have a lot of other means of content. I mean, we have the WhatsApp group too that we've been
We
pretty
haven't done shit in the WhatsApp group. We've been awful with that. But again, this is based on our
we
episode.
but
Marina needs
we're
much better
bringing it
self
up
control.
of like there is a lot of, yes, these episodes should pack a punch, and that is what we want to do with this. Yes.
Yeah, and I want them to be relevant. I want them to be relevant
Relevant. Yeah.
to the mass as far as our clientele is concerned. So I think today's topic is going to be a quick one on self control, right? And this is something that I made a voice note that me and Marina actually listened to prior to this episode, so I could really convey well, I could convey to her what I wanted to convey on this podcast efficiently. But the self control thing, to me, I had an epiphany driving at some point, and it was just one of those things where it's like, wow, this makes a lot of sense on multiple different levels.
Yeah.
And I'd be lying. That voice note was from October, so I'd be lying if I remember exactly kind of what triggered this, and what the thought process was exactly at that time. But obviously, even listening to the voice note back, it's still something that we could derive a lot from in terms of the idea of self control, how we utilize self control, and where self control is maybe more pertinent than just the general idea of what I think people will think when we bring up self control, which
Yeah.
is self control around food.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the thing that people, when they hear self control, they're automatically going to think that we're going to sit here and talk about self control around food. And I do think that's a very important topic, and I want to make sure that we're starting with that, right? But that's not where we're going to end. There's multiple different things that we want to touch on here as it relates to self control, the way we practice it. But right now, I think it's important because it is the holiday season.
Mhm.
Right. On top of that, we're in the winter season itself, where people tend to gain a lot of weight. Um, that's a problem in and of itself. But more importantly, probably is the holiday season that we're in the thick of right now, in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So we're right in the thick of it. What are we, like 2 weeks away from Christmas now?
Yeah, roundabout.
I haven't bought one gift yet, dude.
I think no, exactly 2 weeks. Yeah.
I haven't bought one gift yet. I'm a horrible parent.
Actually, kind of same, but whatever.
I know Christine has, and that's the only saving grace. Anyway, the self control is it sometimes it really does have to be that simple, right? Like we could talk strategy all day long, and I think you'll see this a lot on Instagram with people talking about like, oh, make sure that you drink some extra water and like have a good serving of protein before you go to this event. And then we talk to people all the time about being smart, right? Like obviously, there's always an opportunity for you to be able to eat out at a particular party you're going to, or eat out with some a get together you're having during the holiday season with family members, friends, whatever it might be. Again, there's opportunity for you to do that and just be
Mhm.
smart and not get carried away with the reality. Like, oh, I gotta have overly ambitious amount of self control, and I can't eat anything in this particular situation. But I think sometimes it's literally just, hey, you have to have better self control,
Mhm.
right? And again, that could be maybe what you are ordering in that particular instance, what you're drinking in that particular instance, or even just how you handle that scenario. And then the days leading up to that, the days after that, right? Like I have so many instances recently where people are telling me, like, hey, I did really well this week, but I had to go to whatever my in laws on Saturday night for a holiday dinner that we did. And then I went out with a friend here, and I went out, my husband and I had to go meet some friends over here. I'm like, well, as great as that is, even if you were to order almost immaculately in a lot of those situations, right? The reality is there's like that's almost a week where you'd have to expect a reality where you're stagnant as far as any progress is concerned, if we're even trying to progress at that point, right? I also would tell somebody in that situation, like, hey, I don't want you to be upset when we're talking about really like emphasizing proper expectations here. If you're up a couple pounds this week, 2, 3 pounds, whatever it might be, you ate out 3 times. Like you can't, you know what I mean? Like again, in those situations, if you're going to look at it and say, hey, I have this, which one of those things is important to you? You know what I mean? If one of those is more important than the others, then okay, let's target that as an opportunity for you to have a meal off, enjoy the environment, enjoy your friends and family in that situation, right? And just have that time to yourself. And then those other situations, it's either you absolutely do need to order immaculately, right? You need to stay away from the dessert. You need to stay away from the alcohol in those situations because again, you're choosing this to enjoy yourself over here. And
Mhm.
again, all that lines up perfectly well, but now you have to have the self-control in those situations to actually stick to that process, right? I tell people all the time, I want you to take a bird's eye view, right? A bird's eye view. So we're looking down, right? And I want you to look down at your schedule for the next 2 weeks, right? 3 weeks, whatever it is. Why are you doing something today that's impactful in terms of you not reaching an immediate goal that you have, right? When you know in just 7 days, 8 days, 9 days, 10 days, whatever it is, you have something coming up where you're going to tell me that is more important than my goal. So if like Christmas Eve is a perfect example, Christmas Day, right? If that we just said it's coming up in about 2 weeks, let's just use that
Mhm.
as an example
It
here.
is exactly
If
2 weeks.
that's right. So if that's the most important thing over the course of the next couple of weeks that you have coming up because you want to enjoy it with your friends and your family, right? Then why are we doing anything right now right? That's inhibiting us from reaching any goals that we have for ourselves, right? When we know we have that thing coming up that's more important anyway.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? Am I making
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, can't
Right?
have
We
your
need to
cake
have
and eat it
self
too.
control of these situations now. And again, I understand that there's definitely things that are going to pop up where they're maybe harder to maneuver than others, but this is where self control is something that we can even start to elaborate on the definition that we're trying to create here for self control, because we
Hmm.
are trying to create our own definition as far as self control is concerned right now, right? At least to a certain extent. And discipline is definitely something that we're going to touch on here as it relates to this. But this is where kind of the self control and the discipline merge a little bit. I was trying to
Yeah.
hold that off until we
I
get to
was gonna
point two.
say, I was gonna start to transition it to the discipline because people are probably listening to this and being like, "Oh, I have to be disciplined and whatever. I have to plan ahead. I have to check off all my boxes or whatever."
And,
Right? Talked
and,
about
and
it
it's true.
completely. Yeah.
A lot of those things are acts of self-control. Planning ahead is an
Yeah.
act of self-control,
Yeah.
right? Discipline is an act of self-control. These things are definitely going to be within that same category, and definitely conceptually where we're speaking on right now. But again, I think when it comes to certain situations, like you are the only person, right, that is going to be able to affect this situation when it's happening, right, in a way that's either positive for you or ultimately going to be something that you're looking back on saying, oh, I wish I didn't do that. Oh, here's the scale weight here. Oh, I wanted this. Oh, now it's post
Yeah.
Christmas and I'm up, whatever it is, 5 pounds. Well, you're not up 5 pounds because of Christmas. You're up 5 pounds because you didn't have self control multiple times throughout the course of the few weeks leading up to
Yep.
Christmas, right? So, again, it's one of those things where it's not just self control as far as food, right? It's self control with alcohol, it's self control
Hmm.
within those environments in general, and making sure that we create, boundaries for ourselves, right? That really works for what it is that we're trying to accomplish within that moment. And there might be times too. Listen, the one thing that I think has been turned into a little bit of just social media bullshit, right? Is the idea that like, oh, everybody should just be able to enjoy and you should be able to relax and one off plan meal won't hurt you and blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to disagree with that entirely.
Hmm.
But what I would tell you is there also might be a place and a time, depending on you, what goals you have, what expectations you have for yourself around reaching those goals, where you might say, hey, this isn't more important to me than reaching these goals and these expectations that I have. And in that case, you might say, I am okay with abstaining from this and this and this and this situation,
Hmm.
right? I don't care if it's, whatever, a family party. I don't care if it's a holiday. I don't care what it is. Like at the end of the day, if it's important to you to abstain from this, don't get thrown off guard and let your guard down just because you saw some influencers post about like, oh, everybody should enjoy this and everybody should be able to do that. Well, listen, I have goals for myself. And if I'm going to be the governing factor in me reaching those goals, I want to have the control that I can implement wherever and whenever I
Hmm.
need to in order for me to feel like I'm the driving force of my success on this journey. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, and this is, I'm not trying to fucking be an arrogant douchebag or toot my own horn
Yeah.
or anything like that. But I told you this, our Thanksgiving was at home, right? And I had this whole thing set up where I'm sick and tired of Thanksgiving dinner. We fuck it up somehow in some way almost every single year, and I spend a lot of money on it. And I was just sick of it. So we had this whole idea that we were going to order Chinese food this year, right? I told you that.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, the Chinese food place was fucking closed, right? That's neither here nor there. The point is, the weekend before, right? Thanksgiving obviously is on a Thursday. The weekend before was that Sunday. We had a family Thanksgiving with extended family. Okay, all my in-laws, right? And we had the kids there. It was a whole family event. Yada yada yada. I chose knowing that just 4 days later, I wanted that China. I was looking forward to having mine, quote unquote, holiday there, right? Which I haven't had because all the kids want Thanksgiving and Christine wants Thanksgiving. So I was looking forward to my fucking cheese platters all goddamn day long, my garlic stuffed olives all day long, my fucking, I have a dirty fucking thing right now for chips and queso. I'll fuck up some
Well,
queso, dude.
chips. What do you mean right now? Chips and queso will always slap.
But I honestly I don't even I've had queso multiple times, but I don't think I had actual like chips and queso until like recently. And it is one
Really?
of the most delicious. Yeah, I swear to God,
So good.
I made like I'm sure I got it at a restaurant somewhere. It was like on nachos or something, but I never really had it as like a dip until recently. And it is fucking like that is going to make me a diabetic for sure. But anyway, bottom line is I was looking forward to all this stuff on Thanksgiving, so I chose actively to not participate in the eating aspect of
Mhm.
that family get together on Sunday. You
Yeah.
can ask Christine. Her mom made fun of me the entire time. Of course, my mother in law, her family always, had their little things here and there, although they're pretty supportive. They get it. They know who Tim is for the most part, right? Like they don't really care that much anymore, although it was a struggle at first. But I legitimately, I abstained from everything. I decided not to eat. I wasn't going to have a drink. I didn't want to do it because I knew what was coming and I knew how I wanted to enjoy that, right? The bird's eye view approach. It is absolutely doable. I didn't struggle through that. It wasn't necessarily weird. I wasn't really like just sitting at the table like a
Yeah.
weirdo. I was there. I was breaking bread with them. I was enjoying. I was having conversation with everybody, but I just chose not to eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
And
you
after
had,
everybody got over the initial shock, it was kind of just fell by the wayside.
yeah, you had the self-control to be proactive and then not reactive later on. Like you were saying,
Yeah,
then
and it
spiral in their head after about it's like no, like to actually look at what happened.
Yeah, and in the moment, it wasn't one of the. Yeah, no, honestly, we came home and I had like a regular dinner or whatever, and I went to bed and that was it.
Hmm.
But it's one of those things where in the moment I did not do that with any concept in my mind of quote unquote self control or I'm going to be this guy or I'm going to do it this way. It was legitimately, my only thought was I want to go ham on Thanksgiving, so I'm not going to go crazy now because I
Hmm.
know for me that would just make me a little upset, right? I didn't do it with this idea in my mind of self control, right? But
Yeah.
again, that is a form of self control, and it is a way that you can practice if that's the way that you want. The outcome to be, you know what I mean? If that makes sense, right? Like you don't have to follow through with something because you saw on Instagram that everybody says that you should enjoy this or whatever. People say this is negative and that's bad and, bad relationship with food. Fuck them. If you have this in your mind, if this is your thought process, if this is the goal you want, it's okay to practice and again set certain boundaries,
Yeah.
which I think is a very important practicing concept that we can leave people with here, right? As far as self-control is concerned, right? Is setting proper boundaries. So secondarily, I think once we get outside of this concept of food and alcohol, is there anything else you want to add there?
Not to that. I just think we have a good transition to talk about self-control.
Actually, can I go
Right.
back real quick without spending
Yeah.
too much time here? Another thing for self control, alcohol is a big one, right? That I think a lot of people misunderstand, right? Maybe is the way to put it in the sense that remember, alcohol in and of itself is alcohol. Metabolically something that we have to be considerate of in terms of the way that it acts physiologically. But yes, 100%. Like it's going to cause some metabolic issues downstream that are going to affect us acutely right there,
Hmm.
right? But bigger than anything or even more so than the calories maybe that alcohol provides. The one thing I would say with alcohol is it's going to cause lowered inhibition. It's going to make it harder for you to practice something like
To have
self-control.
self-control. Yep.
So yeah, make sure that you're very planned, which again is another practicing aspect of self-control. If you want to leave here today and say, Tim, how can I practice self-control better? I would say plan ahead. You like always have a strategy to plan ahead, including but not limited to, or I would say including and even more so when you plan on drinking, right? Make sure, especially if you're going to have, whatever, more than 3 or 4 drinks or whatever, and you're going to get a little like,
I'd be on my
like
ass.
yeah, really lower your inhibition and get a little tipsy. Like at the end of the day, make sure that you have something that you're repeating to yourself all day that day. I'm going to have drinks, but I'm not going to eat that fucking bar pie. I'm not going to eat the fucking, like, you have a plan that you are going in there with that you are very focused on achieving, even when you're drunk, you know what I mean? Or tipsy or whatever, right? And then the other thing too, THC has become a thing now. It's getting more and more popular, and I think we knew this was going to happen
Hmm.
with the advent in New Jersey of legalized marijuana. But like I see it more now than I did 6 months ago. You know what I mean, or a year ago
Ooh, you
or
froze.
whatever. Like it's becoming a lot more prevalent. And I just had a conversation with somebody who lost he lost 75 pounds, right? Had a crazy transformation. It's awesome, right? And now all of a sudden, it's literally every single fucking weekend, right? He gained 8 pounds, 9 pounds, 10 pounds, 13 pounds. And one of the things we talked about, he's like, yeah, dude, honestly, I've been, ever since this started, I've also been, taking a puff here, taking a puff there. I only do it on the weekends. It's just to relax. And it's like sends me straight down the fucking into the cookie jar. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like if you're going to take things that inhibit your ability to be able to have control, you better make sure that the environment
Hmm.
is conducive, right? And if you're sitting there and you're smoking pot and you have a fucking, a family pack of Oreos in the pantry, you're probably going to fuck those Oreos up in a lot of cases. All right. So again, if you're going to partake in the alcohol and the weed and all that stuff, just make sure A, you have a plan, right? B, your environment is conducive to you being able to be in a lowered inhibition, in a
Lower
non-inhibited state, whatever.
I don't know. Don't even ask me.
Inhibition,
Lower inhibited?
non-inhibited. Yeah. No. You are
Less inhibited
less
state.
inhibited. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. What she said. But yeah, so there's substance there, there's food there, which you can even kind of couple those together a little bit, which I know some
Yeah.
people don't like. But and then now transitioning into the other ideas that we have here under self-control, right? Which I thought were definitely uh, like a good kind of way to really
Wait.
emphasize
Backing now
self-control.
I'm
Shoot,
backing it
shoot.
up because the other thing that you say often when it comes to, having drinks, or I guess it could apply to like smoking too, is like if you're gonna have a bunch of drinks, don't go ham on the food. But like that's the issue is that you're gonna want to go ham on the food. If you smoke a bunch, you're gonna want to go ham on the food. But like you can't have both, or you can't expect to do both and be okay.
Well, that's where I would tell somebody like that's where planning ahead I think comes in.
Yeah.
Where it's like even if you get like if we're talking somebody's going out and getting hammered, like that's a night off. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
know it,
yeah,
I know it. If you're gonna have fucking 10 drinks versus 3 drinks, like that's a night off.
yeah,
Like I'll be happy if you don't fuck it. Even if you eat a bar pie, you're probably gonna throw it up at the end of the night anyway.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like
At
we're
that
probably
point,
on
have
some
the bar pie.
yeah, no, seriously. Like if you're gonna go that ham on drinking, that's a night off anyway. I'm damn near 40 years old. I don't have nights like that. Very, they're going to do. I'm on vacation, so it's just I'm off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, I would say if you're going to have a few drinks just for social lubrication or whatever it is, then at the end of the day, go into that scenario with a plan. You know what I mean? Like Marina said, exactly like we tell clients, plan on not eating and having a drink. That's exactly what I did the last every calorie counts event we had. I
Yeah.
didn't eat the food and I drank. And again, it wasn't a big deal. Nobody even said anything. I didn't
Yeah.
even recognize it until we
Yeah.
had a podcast after the fact. And I brought it up again, just like I brought up something today, right? Like these things eventually should happen fluidly and without much thought process going into them. But again, it takes a lot of practice up front, right? So the second thing here in terms of self-control is self-control. It can be, we can look at this in a light where it's very relevant to things that we talk about clients, the things that we talk about with clients every single day, right? In terms of their I don't want to call it mental well-being. I don't want to get in the weeds on this as far as mental health is concerned.
What's going
But
on in
we
between
are
the ears?
yeah, we are exactly what's going on between the ears there in terms of like the way that we are perceiving things, the way that we're reacting to in terms of
Hmm.
any emotions that come over us or feelings that we might be having, right? The way certain situations that we're going to find ourselves in on a day-to-day basis, or just honestly free day. Like every day we wake up and again, as a father of three, a business owner, all these different somebody that wants or has certain goals for themselves in terms of their physical health and fitness. Like there are days where you're going to wake up and things are going to feel overwhelming, right? Like they're immediately presented in front of you in this overwhelming way, right? It's up to us to have the self-control to view these things in a different light, right? If you're that person where you do chronically feel overwhelmed, you need better self-control and you need to practice that self-control in a way where you are redirecting these things, right? And this is going to take time, and this takes real buy-in. It takes true belief,
Hmm.
right? And belief in the concept that we're talking about, belief in willpower, right?
Yeah.
But it really does take a moment for you to stop, say no, I don't want to do it this way. I want to do something else, and then legitimately start first thing in the morning. As soon as you wake up, instead of feeling overwhelmed, you need to be grateful. I should be grateful that I'm waking up and I have all these messages that are in my inbox that I need to answer on this day. I should be grateful that I'm able to, put in however many hours a day that I need to put in for work to be able to have a roof over my head, pay for my kids' Christmas gifts, and all this different stuff that we're able to do these times of years.
Hmm.
Like I can be excited to be able to communicate with you guys, right? Instead of feeling overwhelmed that I had a podcast night, I get to, hang out with Marina for an hour, even though she's in a fucking different state, and we get to spend some time together. We get to talk to you guys and get this message out here, right? Like there is there's an ability for us to have more self-control here, which is what we want to keep bringing this back to in terms of the way that we're perceiving these things. And then again, there's also going to be situations that we find ourselves in every single day, whether that's, I don't know, stupid shit like running late. Today, honestly, I had an issue, right? I'm getting ready to leave. I had a message come in that I absolutely wanted to get out before I left, right? To a client that was needed something specifically or immediately, I should say, right? And I legitimately I lost fucking connection. I lost connection. I lost Wi-Fi. It's gone. And anybody that knows, well, I guess that's not true. We have really horrible. So like it's been raining all day here. It's been absolutely horrific for the last 2 days, and I thought my internet was out. And sometimes we will lose internet and or power for legitimately days at a time. I don't know why the little community that I'm in, like we lose power all the time. Actually, we lose it literally every Christmas. It happens all like 3 years in a row. We've had
It
no power on Christmas.
sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. Like, and I'm not exaggerating either. Like every single last Christmas, we got it back on Christmas Eve. The Christmas before that, we had no power through Christmas Day, and we were like living by the fire every day in a generator that keeps our refrigerator running and shit. Yeah, it was awful. Anyway, I thought we were on the verge of losing power, and we lost the internet. And of course, my first reaction is to slam my fist, like be pissed and all that. And I'm actually on my way to the gym. I've already taken all my pre workout supplements and everything, and literally I had a moment of clarity. I'm like, dude, if you freak out now, cortisol's going to go through the roof. Your heart's going to be pounding, and then you're going to end up coming down as you're going to the gym. And I was like, legitimately, just fucking breathe. And like I said, I already had my pre workout, so I'm legitimately sitting there, and it's 102. Yeah, it's 102 because I can see the message that I sent is not sending, and I sent it at 102. It's not sending, and like I'm telling myself to breathe, but at the same time, my heart rate is going because I had a cup of coffee that I fucking keep making. It's like this huge, whatever.
Yeah.
Bottom line is, it wasn't a good scenario to start to like meditate or breathe or whatever,
Yeah.
but I was trying to control myself because at the end of the day, that is that area where I would freak out, lose my mind, want to throw my laptop, punch something here as far as this like the 13th whiteboard that I've had in front of me. I'll punch it and snap it in three pieces because I'm aggravated, I'm frustrated. But again, we can practice in that moment more self-control. I think the
Yeah.
bigger issue for most people isn't necessarily that anger component. That's probably why I have chronically high blood pressure. It's more so the feelings that might come about when we're talking to a lot of
The
clients about the
thoughts.
way that, yeah, the intrusive thoughts, the ruminating thoughts, or even honestly, the way that they look. You know what I mean? Like I'll talk to people all the time when they're like, "Oh, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror today, and I just wanted to wear a big hoodie all day because I feel like shit and I'm ugly and all." Like even thinking those things,
Yeah.
right? You need to take a step back and you need to have better control over the way that we let these things manifest themselves.
Yeah.
Because if it's manifesting itself to the point where you're verbalizing that to yourself or speaking that into existence when you're sending me that message, like that's a very, very, very unhealthy trait in many ways. And we could literally back it all the way up to the idea of self-control
Yep.
within that circumstance,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think there's like a bunch of things like that people may think that this is like all hoo-hoo, and you hear all these people online practice gratitude and like you're in control of your emotions, you're in control, like your perception is, or no, yeah, your perception is your reality or your perspective, whatever it is, that whole thing. But like you hear all these things, but they're fucking true. And I've
Yeah.
always been a very reactive person, like my whole life. I've had these, I don't like punch things, but I've always had this like really easy way to go from 0 to 100. Like I'm definitely a hothead. I've always been a hothead. I just go from 0 to 100 when things happen. I still struggle with it, but truly, like when you take a moment and realize I'm in control of my thoughts, I'm in control of how I react to things. And like usually you'll hear people, talk about something that happened over here and there. And like what you'll say to a friend is like, oh, the way that so and so reacted is out of your control. That is their issue. But you don't apply that to yourself when you're in issues. So it's like you need to take accountability for when you react poorly and then, learn from that and move forward and have the control for next time too. Take a few breaths, slow down, and like it's hard, but it fucking works. Like you live a much happier and smoother life when you decide just to let things flow. Like the most recent example is I got my car towed because I parked in the wrong spot. Long story short, but I got my car towed here. And, normally I would let that shit. I was on my way out to go to the gym and I was excited because, I've been going to the gym here and there, but like I was actually excited for this session. I felt really good. I'm like getting out the door and I step outside. I'm like, where the fuck is my car? And I'm like, I told myself, I'm like, take a few breaths, take a few breaths. I figured it out. Yeah, it was towed. And I forced myself to just laugh and smile and calm the fuck down. Got my car, got to the gym like maybe half an hour later than I wanted to and just carried on. And I literally told myself that same day, I was like, damn, like I'm fucking proud that I didn't let that ruin my day, that I didn't, not go to the gym, that I didn't let my cortisol, go up to my throat and like my face get all red. Like it was one of those aha moments where I was like, damn, I had a good fucking day, even though my car was towed.
Yeah. And if you, again, let's layering in some practicality here. Like, if you want to be able to measure this for yourself in terms of like, how do I know this is actually working, right? Like, how do I know in the maybe more immediate future, right, that this is something that's going to pay dividends? And I want to bring up a client situation with this too, but like your heart rate, your resting heart rate, like this is something where you start to practice it again. I think when we're bringing up heart rate, when we're bringing up your scenario, my scenario, in the sense that we were maybe that was frustration, anger, these types of feelings and emotions that we get. But again, I'm even talking about like your relationship that you have with yourself,
Yeah.
right? The way that you're outwardly verbalizing, things about yourself,
Hmm.
right? And just kind of like that negative, self talk, right? And things like that. Even getting rid of those things apply here as far as the heart rate is concerned, right?
Yeah.
Like if you want, or when somebody says something to you and it immediately sticks in your head, and again, for a lot of my female clients, right? Like it's ruminating over and over and over and over and over and over. It gave you that little pit in your stomach, and then immediately you can't get it out, and it's just causing
Hmm.
you to think and think and think and overthink and overthink. Like we need to be able to build the self control where we can allow those things to roll off our shoulder and not have it be so impactful to our day. Just like Marina and I need to build in, dealing with frustration, you need to build in that resiliency, right? But again, a practical way of being able to manage this is looking at your heart rate, and maybe you take an average over the course of the next month. And if your heart rate is elevated in the sense that it's, let's just, or wherever it is, like I don't care if it's 65 or 75 on a day-to-day basis, right? Wherever it is, you want to start practicing these things. And like I said, don't, like Marina said, don't think it's some hippy dippy bullshit or some self-gratitude post we're making on Instagram. Like actually apply these things, buy into them, believe in them,
Hmm.
and then watch that heart rate trend over the course of the next month that you're actively doing these things, right? I've had two clients recently where, for the life of us, we could not figure out what the F is going on from a blood pressure perspective, right? In both cases, we were I sent them to a cardiologist, right? One of them is like, dude, I've never been to a cardiologist before in my life. What the hell? How do they went to an orthopedist and a surgeon once, but they're like, other than that, I have a primary care doctor. I've never done anything like this. So they had to like, go through their insurance, figure out what's under their umbrella and everything, and find a cardiologist to be able to work through different blood pressure medications. In this one particular case, they were on three different blood pressure medications, and at one point, two of them combined, right? And literally no change in dropping the blood pressure, no change. And I'm like, honestly,
Crazy.
dude, I'm like, I don't know, like, we just got to go with what the cardio, I don't know at this point. Like, I don't know, like, we're, chemically outside of my scope here at this point. Like, I don't know what to do. And it turned into one of those things where I'm like, wait a second, because this person's been working with me for a long time and I know them as a very calm individual. They never message me in between check-ins. Like I literally, if they didn't check in for like 3 weeks, I'd forget that they exist type of person. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I never hear from them outside. They don't post on Instagram. They're older. They have two kids. It's just one of those things where like they're in their world doing their thing, and we're all out here doing ours. You know what I mean? That's why I always envision them. And I'm like, wait a second. I actually started working with his wife not that long ago. Asked her, and she's like, "No, he's like, he can turn it the drop of a dime. Like he's the like he little things piss him off. Where like he gets so pissed off because like he spilled the milk and he's like punching
Me.
the refrigerator door or whatever. He's like that guy where he's like a closet. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, you gotta learn how to like slow down, control it. And as of right now, his blood pressure is still slightly elevated, right? But it is immeasurably better. When I'm talking high blood pressure, I'm talking we were looking at like 175 over 90. You know what I mean? Like it was really high as far as his blood pressure is concerned throughout the course of the day. And now we've got it down to averaging around 130 over 70. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
yeah, immense difference, right? And it's just him being able to slow down. And he's been doing breathing exercises multiple times a day. So we set it up prior to his meals. He's doing breath work for 3 minutes at least prior to every meal. And his blood pressure has literally come fucking dropping down. You know what I mean? So again, that's just one instance where we had this physical concept as far as managing his blood pressure, or this physical feedback in terms of managing his blood pressure and seeing the difference there. But again, these are very real things overall. Go ahead.
I want to touch on that because, people will, again, think that, I mean, you do have to buy into it, but like truly, it doesn't, it's more of a thing that, yeah, you have to believe in because it doesn't take much. It takes 3 minutes, I don't know, four times a day for you to, calm yourself down, or, 4 minutes right after some random shit happens that you weren't expecting. It really is, it's a small amount of time, but you need to be like in it to like really. get your heart
Right.
rate
You
down.
have to, you have to believe. I mean, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
there is a reality there where you truly and honestly have to buy into. You have to believe it. But what I would tell somebody too, and I've done this with a lot of clients. So the clients that are listening, they'll know this conversation we've had. Like I'll legitimately talk to them as I would normally talk, as I'm normally talking right now, and I'm going a million miles a minute, and everybody knows that about Tim, right? And then it's like, I'm explaining to them like, if you really want to see the difference, like all you have to do is slow down and breathe. And when you take your time slowing down, it's inhale, exhale. And I go through the whole process of showing them that. And then I say, listen, when you come out of it, the difference is going to be exactly the way I'm talking to you right now. You can go from typical Tim, which is a million miles a minute and going over and over and over again, and you're talking at this pace. But once you breathe, you come out of that and you are almost like organically without you trying now here.
Yeah.
And everything's a little bit more focused. Everything's a little bit more centered. Everything's a little bit more even keel,
Yeah.
right? And it's like those thoughts that are going a million miles a minute. Again, if we want to bring that back to a baseline, you have to learn how to practice that self control. And again, if we want some practical takeaways here, breath work, like we're talking
Yeah.
about, breath work can be an immense help here where you get to stop, slow down. And breath work is very, very difficult. Okay. It took me a long time to be able to truly and honestly tap in to the concept of breath work and getting the benefit from breath work. Meditation was a huge help to me. I talked about this many times. And meditation, the only reason why, I'm sorry, not meditation, yoga was a big help here. The only reason why yoga was such a big help is because it gave me an environment that was so far
Yep.
out of my norm, where our environment all day is go, 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 go. When I walked into a yoga studio, and again, it didn't happen right away. My first instance in a yoga studio was a complete mess. I was anxious as hell. I was dripping sweat. I was fat in an off season, and I was just like trying to do yoga poses, and it was totally uncomfortable. I had a conversation with the yoga instructor after that, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard this story before. But it was one of those ones where she was like, dude, like stop, like you don't, like you're not, what do you feel, you're not a yogi, like you don't need to like learn how to do downward dog and all that shit. They're like, just find a comfortable stretch that you could be in. And she actually took time to go over a couple stretches with me, and she's like, if you could do these, just when I'm calling out different books, just hold those stretches, but listen to my voice. Listen to, she used to put on she had a thing for, it was like a an audio thing for like a waterfall, but then also had a, that like chimey music or whatever
Yeah.
the fuck was going on. So she had both those going. She's like, listen to the waterfall, listen to the music, listen to the breath that we're telling you to take, right? And like just be calm and present in this environment. And that word being present, right, never really stuck with me until much later on when I actually got used to breathing and did a lot of work with the breath work and meditation through the Calm app. So again, it was yoga and being in that environment that really kind of taught me how to slow down, right? Because I need to be brought out of my own environment and put into an environment that was created for me that was much slower, right? That helped first and foremost and really got me off the ground with this. And then when I was able to do it on my own, it wasn't until I was really good, I guess you could say, at breath work to where I kind of understood the idea of what being present actually means. And it's like I'm not losing myself in thoughts about this. I'm not losing myself about thoughts that are going to happen 3 hours from now. I'm not losing myself in thoughts about whatever happened 3 hours before, right? I'm
Mhm.
present right here, right now, and I'm getting caught in my own process of breathing in and breathing out and just being able to kind of chill. You know what I mean? So again, if we want practicality there, meditation, yoga, breath work, all of these things can help you have more self-control in the moment. But I would also go to, based on what we talked about here, like I think self-talk, I think, is one of the most underrated things. And this is where people are going to turn off, right? People are immediately going to turn off, or they're just not going to do it. Right. When I tell people like, hey, you need to speak to yourself in the mirror, like you need to be the person that's telling yourself that you're beautiful. You need to tell the person,
Mhm.
you need to be the person that's telling yourself that you look great, that you feel awesome every day, that like you're proud of yourself for the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Like you need to be the first person that's initiating that. And then when you get it from somebody else, great, that's extra, that's awesome, right? And it's great, and you can really enjoy the fact that somebody else is giving it to you once you're the one that's giving it to yourself on an everyday basis.
Yep.
You have to believe in you. So like that self-talk, like legitimately just get up in the morning and have a full-on fucking conversation with yourself for 2-3 minutes in the mirror, where it's like you talk to yourself, like tell yourself, like today's going to be a good day. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And that is already planning ahead. You're controlling your, like you're setting yourself up for better self-control right in the morning. So there's a lot of things there that you could work through from a practical standpoint. And then lastly, here from a self-control standpoint, this is where, self-control and discipline really start to merge, right? And when I brought this up to Marina when she listened to the voice note originally, she was like, well, what's the difference between this and self-control? I'm like, that's where I got you, bitch. We're going to merge these two things together, this concept at this point, right? Where it's like we talked about, I brought up like, I want people to have the self-control and or self-discipline, I suppose, to be able to get shit done when it's time to get shit done. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like, again, stop looking at it as this negative thing, which we already talked about. Like, stop looking at it as this overwhelming thing. Stop looking at it as like just you got to get it done. And then if you are able to have control over the way that you're going to approach that, it's not just a get it done attitude.
Yeah.
It's more of, I'm not just going to get it done. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get it done fucking well.
Well,
Right.
with a fucking
I
smile on
want
your
to do
face.
this. Right. Like, but not just with a smile. Do it with a fucking, what's the opposite of a smile?
A deadpan? A resting bitch face?
No, the opposite of
Oh,
a
a
smile. So like,
frown!
but not a frown. Whatever. Do it with a fucking frowny face. Do it with a pissed off face. I don't care how you do it, but like, I want you to do it and do it with meaning. I want you to do it
Yeah.
and do it with the idea that, like, hey, I want to get this done. And I want to get it done at such a high level that it's going to force me to get the result that I'm doing it for. So I'm talking about like cardio sessions, training sessions, right? Like these are things, especially for me right now. It's hard sometimes to get in there and do what I have to do. Like I'm struggling with the reality of honestly not being excited to go to the gym every time I go to the gym for the first time in my life. Like I'm
Me
literally
too.
dragging myself
You know,
there on
last
certain days.
last 2 days have been good, but yeah.
But it's just one of those things where it's like if we can create be our own motivation in a sense, right? It's like we talk all the time about, well, motivation is this thing it comes and goes and blah blah blah. Be your own motivation. Like that doesn't come and go. You don't need to look that up on Instagram to be a cool fucking Denzel Washington
But it's
fucking
the same. It
audio
brings
clip.
us right back to you're in control of your thoughts. If you're telling yourself, "Oh, I don't fucking want to
Exactly.
do this. I'm tired." Da da da. Like,
Exactly.
okay, that what you're about to do or what you need to get done is gonna suck. So why you're gonna do it anyways? You're gonna get it done anyways. Why would you want it to suck? Like, just gaslight yourself. Gaslight yourself.
Even if it does suck, lean into that shit is what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Like, let it fucking suck, but we're gonna do it because we want the outcome. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do this shit and I'm gonna make it suck even harder than it normally sucks. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna hit that fucking treadmill as hard as I can fucking hit it. And you know why? Because I want that fucking six pack. I want to drop the fucking 20 pounds. I want to drop my blood glucose levels. I want to drop my triglycerides. I want to be, in better cardiovascular health
Yeah.
and shape. You know what I mean? I want this shit. So I am gonna go do it. And I don't care if it fucking sucks. I'll sit there on the fucking Stairmaster until I have sweat dripping from my face because I'm in control here. I'm in control here. And I think when this really starts to be something that you can practice to the fullest extent, now we are doing things for very different reasons, right? When a lot of people say they want a six pack, right? They're doing that, and the driving force behind them getting that six pack or wanting them six pack is some shit that they saw on fucking Instagram and comparing themselves to somebody else. Right? It's them thinking they're going to get more girls, or girls thinking they're going to get more guys, or like whatever the status quo is in terms of
Something
what's hot and
external.
sexy, or
Yeah.
yeah, something external is driving that. I want you guys to be the driving force behind what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't do it for all that shit. Do it because you want to be in control. Do it because you want to be the person. You want to be you're setting yourself a goal and you want to be the person, not your check-in holding you accountable, not this holding you accountable, not that. You want to hold yourself accountable right fucking now by having the control to say, I know this is going to suck. I'm going to lean into it. I'll let it fucking suck, but I'm going to do it because it is necessary for me to get the result that I want here.
Yeah.
Right. And once you have that, you've built something that now transcends or goes so much further than just a six pack, your blood glucose levels, your fucking, cardiovascular health and all that different stuff. All that's great. It'll keep you alive. It's fucking fantastic. But realistically, now you're building something that yields benefit in just about every single walk of life that you could possibly think of. You know what I mean? Like there's plenty of things that we all don't want to do that we have to fucking going to the DMV and getting something done. It's like, I'll put that shit off for as long. But if we add more self-control and more self-discipline, it's like, nope, I'm going to set myself, I'm going on this day. I'm going to get it fucking done. I'm going to bring every single thing that I need. There's no way that I'm going to turn back because I'm missing fucking points for this, or I'm missing this fucking address that I needed or some shit. I'm going to be well organized, a well thought out plan. I'm going there and I'm getting this shit done. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's just one, but like, again, right? Relationships, whatever it is, like we need to be able to have the self-control and the discipline to be able to attack the areas that we might be weak and or attack the areas that are going to be necessary for us to get to the other side of what we're trying to accomplish within those scenarios. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Basically just
So
embracing it all.
yeah, embrace it all. But again,
Yeah.
I want the idea here to be
Controlling it though.
self-control. What's up? Yeah, yeah. Honestly,
Self-controlling, yeah.
again, that's what I was going to bring back to. I want the idea here to be self-control. Like you are the person that is the driving force here. There's no plan that I can create for you, right? There's no check-in that Marina can give you, right? There's no changes or adjustments that we can make for you, right? That is going to go anywhere further than the amount of self-control that you have, right? And again, there's plenty of people that are listening to this that have been clients of ours that have gotten a tremendous result and then they've gotten a tremendous result and then they've seen things plateau or they've seen things even go back in the opposite direction. And I guarantee you, if we ask them, hey, what's changed? Because I didn't change the plan. I didn't change. Well, I've gotten a rut with this and I started eating out here and I started smoking the pot here and I started doing this there and I started doing this there. And it's like, well, we're not really focused on scale weight anymore. We're focused on this. So I don't have anything directly in front of all of that comes back to self-control.
Yeah.
You got results when you did because you were in control. You forced yourself to do certain things and you got a result from it. Right. And now that you're in a different situation, you're not implementing the same levels of self control.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm telling you, continued implementation of that level of self control is not only going to keep you progressing as far as your results are concerned long term, but again, it's going to have impact in other areas of your life.
Spitting
Okay.
bars.
Done. Yeah.
That was a good one.
I didn't have anything. I took off my hat way too many times this episode. I need you to like blur those out, like just a straight blur, like my
I
titties
don't
were
think you
out.
took it off once, Tim.
I did. I took it off twice, and I noticed both times. Right,
Oh.
and like this is, I shouldn't be negatively self-talking myself right now, but I need a haircut desperately, and when I don't have my haircut, my George Costanza bald spot's coming in. It's coming in bad.
Tim, put it away.
See, see.
All right, let me sign us off. That is it for this episode. I think this was really, really great. Definitely very motivating. Really, really makes me want to have a lot of self-control. But yeah, if you guys have questions or just want to chat, you can message us on Instagram, and we'll see you guys next week.